Well, folks, this is big. Pierre Poilievre just announced that a conservative government would put in a Taxpayer Protection Act. Okay, so what is a Taxpayer Protection Act? It means that the federal government would not be able to impose new taxes or tax hikes without a referendum first. It is big. Now, folks, I'm just sitting here in the passenger seat. We're all parked, so I figured I'd go on a big of a rant because this is big news, right? Poilievre just promised to put in a Taxpayer Protection Act, meaning no new taxes, no tax hikes without a referendum first. Now, this is great news for you. It gives more power back to the people, more power back to you. And this is bad news for the big spending politicians and government bureaucrats that want to hike your taxes and waste more of your money. Now, folks, I don't need to tell you, but over the years, recent years, we have seen the federal government impose massive new taxes and massive tax hikes, right? Payroll tax hikes, carbon tax hikes, alcohol tax hikes, a new luxury tax. The government imposed a digital services tax, an online streaming tax. The government tried to impose an undemocratic and illegal capital gains tax increase. And the government is sniffing around for a home equity tax. Now, okay, Canadians are tapped out and the government doesn't need any more money from Canadians. So, Poilievre's Taxpayer Protection Act is a big deal for Canadians who are fed up with governments hiking your taxes and wasting your money. And that politicians love to run during election campaigns. They love to say, oh, don't worry, folks, we're not going to hike your taxes. And then what happens after the election? Well, they start looking for more of your money. And we have seen that happen many times in the past where governments don't run on tax increases, then they get into office and they hike your taxes. Here's just a couple of examples, right? So the BC government, before it brought in its carbon tax, didn't run on a carbon tax. The same thing happened with the Alberta NDP. Didn't mention a carbon tax in the election prior, then they brought in a provincial carbon tax. And of course, the same thing happened with the Liberal government in Ontario and their carbon tax. And think back all the way to the 2019 federal election. Just before the 2019 election, then Environment Minister Catherine McKenna said the government had no intention of raising the carbon tax beyond 2022. What happened just after the election? Well, after the election, Trudeau then revealed that he would hike carbon taxes year after year after year. So all too often, politicians promise not to raise your taxes, then they get elected and they hammer you with big tax increases. So, Poilievre is right. Taxpayers need protection from money-hungry politicians and money-hungry government bureaucrats, especially when the debt is more than $1 trillion, especially when governments are running billions of dollars of deficits. And Poilievre is also right. Look, if politicians want to take more money from you, then they should be forced to ask you first in a referendum. And look, all politicians, they should be focused on cutting spending, not hiking your taxes, not looking for new ways to take more of your money. So Poilievre's Taxpayer Protection Act, a law that would mean no new taxes, no tax hikes without a referendum first, is a great commitment.